Several minutes of commercial-free football starts now.
Here are the Purple Mortgage Guys.
Welcome to another episode of Purple Mortgage Guys, coming to you from the mortgage office of Goose, Tanner, and Brent on this Friday before the Washington Commanders game, coming up Sunday in Washington, D.C. At noon. Commanders are 4-4 on the season. Vikings are 6-1, looking to improve to 7-1 before the big game in Buffalo next week. So classic trap game vibes coming into this one. Revenge game possibility for both Kirk Cousins and Taylor Heinicke. And I am excited to hear what these guys think is going to happen and play out, and what we're going to see come 3 o'clock on Sunday. So Tanner, kick us off today. What's on your mind? What's your take?
Yeah, you reiterated already about the trap game. I know I sound like I'm beating a dead horse because I feel like I say this every week, but I just don't feel good about this game again. I'd feel a lot better if it was in Minnesota, because I think this is we're a more talented team on paper for sure. And Carson Wentz, I think, is a lot better than what Taylor Heinicke is, even though I love Taylor Heinicke. This is a well-coached team, and they're really scrappy in all areas. It looks like they got a bit of an injury bug as well. They got a couple linebackers out. I'm not sure if Chase Young is going to be back yet. I see that they just activated him off injured reserve as well, so I'm hoping that he's not going to play Sunday. But well-coached team by Ron Rivera. They play really good defense, and the offense does just enough to keep them in games every week. They do have some really strong weapons in Terry McLaurin, and Curtis Samuel's having a really good year as well. So Washington is one of those handful of places. They don't typically have a ton of fans attending the event, but it's one of those places that's always seemed to be hard for the Vikings to win at historically. So I'm very superstitious about it. I think it's going to be a close game and should be fun to watch.
Goose, what's your take on this weekend?
Yeah, I'm getting some of those vibes for sure. On the road, they're also on a win streak right now. Their defense is really good. I definitely feel better about the Vikings playing a bad defense and trying to, like, when we play a team who's similarly matched as us, where they rely on offense and their defense isn't their strength, like I feel confident that we can outscore them.
Mm-hmm.
So far this year, I feel like we haven't done well against a really tough defense like Philadelphia. So I'd like to see them put up some points and look like they can match up with a really strong defense. I still think we win this game. I think the Commanders have won 3 in a row against not great teams where it's been down to the wire. They haven't had a bye week yet. I think it catches up to them against the Vikings.
Well, we'll see how that plays out. We'll get to our bold predictions here in a bit, but we're gonna jump right into our weekly segment here called Tanner's Tidbits. Tanner, what do you got for us this week? Some stats that our listeners can use to impress their friends regarding the Vikings.
Yeah, I don't. This is probably the shortest list I've had so far, to be honest. I just couldn't find anything this week, but do have a couple things I'd like to reiterate on the QB stats. As we've already said once, these are 2 quarterbacks facing their former teams this week. This will be Kirk Cousins' second career start against his former team. He did have one home game that he played against Washington. Did not throw any touchdowns, no picks. Did throw for 285 yards and a 112 quarterback rating in that win that they had the first time. This will be Cousins' first game back at FedEx Field since leaving Washington. This will be Taylor Heinicke's first career start against his former team. He holds a career record of 9-10. He's 4-6 in home games. Not super, doesn't have like any crazy tools or anything like that. He doesn't have a huge arm, not super accurate, but he is mobile and he is super scrappy. He does a really good job. Like, that's the reason I like him, is because he easily bounces back when he makes a bad play. Even when they played Green Bay, I don't know if you guys watched that game a few weeks ago. I think he had 2 quick turnovers, had a horrendous first quarter, and ended up bouncing back, and he played really well the rest of the game. So he is one of those guys that once he gets rattled, it's not like he's going to continuously make mistakes. So that is the danger with him. A couple milestones again this week. Kirk Cousins is 1 touchdown pass away from passing Dante Culpepper for 3rd in team history. Only Franz Harkington and Tommy Kramer have more. And I think Cousins has some crazy statistic right now. I think he's like 38 or 39 games in a row that he's thrown a touchdown pass. So that's 1st in the league, and I don't even think it's close from what I saw. Also needs 1 touchdown pass to pass Donovan McNabb on the all-time passing list, or all-time passing touchdowns. Justin Jefferson is 5th in the league in catches. He has dropped a few spots. Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, and Austin Eckler have more than JJ. He's 3rd in yards still, behind Tyreek Hill and Stephon Diggs. Tyreek Hill is slowly pulling away in that race. He has almost 200 more yards than the next guy, so he's having an insane season. Adam Thielen continues to work his way up the team rankings list. He needs 84 yards this week to pass Sammy White for 5th in team history. The Vikings are 14-13 all time against Washington. It's been a very up and down battle. They're 7-7 in Washington. The Vikings have never, this is the one fun statistic I found. The Vikings have never had a player record 2 sacks in 1 game in Washington. We're gonna break that this week.
Zadarius.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, and then we'll finish up with trivia.
I thought we were going to avoid this. Like, Tanner doesn't have much. We're just going to cruise right into bold predictions, but no, here we are. All right, throw it at us.
PFF top 5 graded Vikings starters halfway through the season.
Christian Darrisaw.
Okay, Christian Darrisaw's 1. I want to see if you guys can get this perfectly.
Okay.
In order?
Not in order. I just nailed the top 5.
Zadarius.
Zadarius is 2. Christian Darrisaw is also the 3rd ranked left tackle in the league. He's having an amazing season.
Brian O'Neill. Goose says no. He cringed. I'm going to sit out. I'm just keeping.
I like him, and he's been solid. I just haven't seen his.
Did not. There is one surprise name for me, but Brian O'Neill did not make the cut this time around.
Justin Jefferson.
JJ's 3.
Okay. We just eliminate O'Neill, and we're perfectly in order here. Let's just act like it didn't happen.
1, 2, 3.
Who you got, Brent?
I didn't know if I was allowed to talk again. So, let's go with. Let's go with Daniil Hunter?
He's 4.
Okay.
Bill's 4, and I'm assuming that was your surprise.
Despite a lack of production this year, he is still in the top 5.
PFF likes Daniil. He does his job.
Yeah, they love Daniil and they hate Kendricks.
Yeah. All right, number 5. I feel
Goose, you should
pressure
get this
here.
one. You should get this one, Goose.
Even more pressure.
You want a hint?
Not yet. Let me get a wrong answer before you give me a hint. Kirk Cousins?
Nope. Cousins is 6. Did not
I have
make
like
the cut.
5 names floating around my head.
He had a very strong performance against his former team last week.
Oh. Peterson?
Pete?
Pete
Nice.
He was one of the names that was in my
having
Well, that
his
wasn't
threw me
near as-
off.
5 years.
That wasn't
When you
near as
said you
brutal
should
as a
get
couple weeks ago with that trivia. So
Yeah.
thanks for taking it easy on us. Does that wrap up our Tanner tidbits for the day?
Yeah, that's all I got. I don't have anything crazy this week.
All right. I can't wait to see what these are going to look like for Buffalo. So you've got yourself a week. All right, there you have it. Tanner tidbits for this week against Washington. And want to remind anyone still viewing after that debacle with the PFF grades that you can enter into a contest to win a couple of tickets to that Jets game on December 4th. All you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then comment on the prediction for the score for this weekend. So get the score right, the winning team right, and you'll get your name entered into a drawing. If there's only one of you that gets it right for the Jets game, then you'll be the winner. If there's multiple, we'll draw out of a hat. So good luck to everyone on that. Goose, we're going to start with you today on bold prediction. We're not going to do score yet, just one bold prediction for the Washington game.
Okay. Tanner kind of hit on it a little bit. I feel like a lot of people have compared his playing style, not the player, because he's not a Hall of Famer, but I've heard a lot of people talk about Taylor Heineke like Brett Favre. Gunslinger. If he makes one mistake, it's not really going to stop him from going after it still. So I'm going to go with Eric Kendricks. Has 2 interceptions against the Commanders.
That's a salty one.
You stole.
I'm
you
picturing
stole my
Heineke.
thunder.
Really, I'm picturing Heineke rolling out, throwing across his body to the middle of the field like you're not supposed to, and throwing a pick to EK.
Not 1, but 2 picks from EKers in one game. Okay.
I was going to say he was going to score a touchdown, but I'm going to leave that one alone. And now that we both see it, it probably won't happen. But I was envisioning the same thing, Goose.
All right, I like it.
Right. All right, Tanner, what do you got?
So Justin Jefferson is ranking near the top of the league in almost every single receiving category this year except touchdowns. He only has 2 touchdowns this year. So I'm going to say he's going to double that this week. It's going to double his season total. It's going to have 2 scores this week.
2
I like
scores.
it.
All right, we'll take it.
2 gritties.
2 gritties.
Well, and I feel like something that was lost in the mix this last week or so is that the Commanders traded away arguably their top corner. So I like that thought process there, Tanner.
I'm going to say we are going to get a soundbite of some sort of Cousins with the words "you like that" during or post game prior to the flight back to Minneapolis, meaning the Vikings win, and there's some locker room quote or probably him on the field, something to him, maybe him and O'Connell on the sidelines. I don't know. That's what I see happening. So we'll see.
I like it.
I like that.
I
You
like
that,
that.
huh?
Yeah.
All right, guys. What are we thinking for prediction? Vikings are favored by 3. Over and under is 43.5. Like you said, Washington's going to beat up on a few bad teams the last few weeks, but you can make an argument that's been every one of our wins for the season. So ESPN predictor says 57% chance that the Vikings win. What say you, Tanner? Why don't you start us on this one?
I already said once I'm not super confident in this game, but I do think we're going to steal one in Washington. It's going to be a close game, and we're going to get some Greg Demption this week. So I'm going to go
that in itself would have been bold.
27-26 Vikings on a Greg Joseph field goal late in the 4th quarter.
27-26. All right. Goose?
We're close, Tanner. I have a score prediction of 27-20. And hopefully that's not a missed extra point. It's a couple field goals and 3 touchdowns. But 27-20. I first had 27-17, gave him an extra field goal. I think this is probably my first prediction. I could be wrong, but that I didn't guess that we were going to score 30 plus points. I think it's going to be a grind. And we just have to hopefully hold a Taylor Heineke led team to 20.
You guys, we all are seeing this pretty similarly again, just like we did last week. I'm going to say 23-20 Vikings. I would love to say this is the game where you just throttle an opponent. It's never close. There's not any stress in the second half, and it's just on cruise control. but I can't see that happening outdoors on grass. And with the Buffalo game coming up next week, I think it's just human nature to look ahead to that. And I think if anyone can keep them on task, it's O'Connell. But I think it's going to be closer than we'd like. So I would love for it to be a blowout, but I see 23-20 Purple and moving on to 7-1. And then we got the huge game next weekend. So guys, I have a side question for you. What do you think it would take for nationally, or even maybe a lot of the Vikings fans, to turn from we've won a lot of close games, who is this team, are we any good, to we're a legit contender? And like I feel like there's got to be a blowout at some point, or we beat the Bills, I guess, of course. But what do you think's got to happen for that narrative to change a little bit?
Yeah, I would say the Buffalo game next week. I mean, I would solidify, I think, every single fan in this country's narrative of this team this year, because Buffalo is, to me, they just look like the best team in the league this year, and it's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're extremely talented on both sides of the ball. They move the ball every single drive. They play really good defense. They got a lot of talented veterans, and if you can go into that type of an arena and beat a team that's very tough to beat at home, that I would think would do it for me. I'm not saying that's going to happen next week, but I think they have a pretty good chance to do that.
You think if next week they go into Buffalo, they play them strong, maybe it's a tie game in the fourth quarter, it's a one-score game at the end, do you think even a loss next week would make people
I was just going to say
maybe
that
Buffalo plays well, but we look good and they lose, or we lose? And like, do you think that changes the narrative at all?
I was just going to say that. I think it just I think we have to play them tough. You can't have like another Monday Night Football, Philadelphia Eagles. If you play them tough and to the end of the game, then I think teams start to respect you, because it's by far our most difficult game left on the schedule. Without trying to be too big of a Vikings fan here, you look at the rest of the schedule outside of the Bills, and you'd like to think you can win all of those games. So, yeah, I think you just have to look competitive against a really good team.
I even think like if you beat Dallas and then maybe you do, I don't know, maybe New England's the next opportunity to really put up points. I feel like it has to be a home game where you're really just gonna put the pedal down and throttle a team. But I think if they play well in Buffalo and they can beat Dallas, maybe it changes. But until then, it just reinforces the narrative of you beat the good team, or you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and then you don't show up for the big games. But it just feels different this year, but I don't think we've seen enough of it to feel confident behind this team. I think that's where a lot of Vikings fans are right now.
Yeah. If you beat the Bills, do you deal with any like we're on top of the world, like you let off the gas? Yeah.
We know the offense is capable of putting up points. We know they're capable of doing that, but I don't know if the defense is good enough to stop teams from scoring, to throttle somebody. I don't know if we have a team left on our schedule that I would say we beat by like 2 touchdowns, 14 points spread. Like that just doesn't seem feasible.
I did not think my opinion of the defense would change from the beginning of the year till now, but it feels like they come up with a big turnover. You almost start to expect it a little bit that it's going to happen. And maybe that changed in Miami because they were getting throttled in the first half, the first few possessions. Miami, remember, they shot themselves in the foot with all those penalties. But then the turnovers at the end sealed it, and then they've had the big turnovers ever since. So
I've been on board with the defense for like the last 2-3 weeks. So I think it was kind of around that turning point. Even I don't know. It seems like they're figuring out their scheme. Like I think the first couple weeks you play soft and you miss your assignment once or twice, then it really looks bad. But I think everyone's buying into like if I just do my job and stay in my soft zone, like they're gonna make a mistake eventually. You're not seeing Cam Bynum jump on an out route when he's got the deep third of the field. Like I feel okay about our defense. Like I look at the Patriots offense, that like there's nothing about their offense that intimidates me. I think Mac Jones is kind of a run-of-the-mill quarterback. I don't think any of their weapons really scare me. There's a few teams on here where I think we should be capable of scoring a lot more points than we give up.
You guys, we haven't even talked about TJ Hawkinson yet. Like, what's that going to look like? Maybe not this week. Probably won't, be fully acclimated to the playbook. But what is the addition of TJ Hawkinson? What's that offense going to look like going forward?
I think we're already one of the better play action teams in the NFL, and I think he will thrive off of that. Like in Detroit, they had him split out a good amount of time. DeAndre Swift is more of a like receiving. He can do it all, but I feel like he's more of kind of a scat back. I think in an offense where you have a true rushing threat, Kirk is one of the best in the league at play action, and you don't know whether or not we're running the ball based off our personnel because he's such a good receiving and inline tight end. I think it's a match made in heaven for TJ and the Vikings, for just someone who can do both things in our offense that's pretty darn balanced.
Yeah. Well, we're guilty of looking ahead already. So we talk about trap game. We just spent a few minutes talking about Buffalo and some games to come. So we'll see what happens on Sunday. Bold predictions are in. We all think we're going to win. We all think we're going to, score in the 20s, it sounds like, too. So, guys, one last thing we like to do is just what will we be complaining about Monday if things go south and we come up short? And I'm going to start us off here so no one can steal this from me. I don't see a Greg Joseph redemption game. I'm not real confident there. I think if we come up short, it's probably a missed extra point or a field goal again that we really needed and didn't convert on. So that's mine.
If he does that, if he does that again this week, do you cut him?
I don't think he can. I don't know who's going to kick. I mean, I've seen Goose kick in the parking lot. He can make 30 yarders, but we need somebody that can consistently make that 40 to 50 yard field goal.
And what I keep reminding, I know it's the extra points, but I keep reminding myself his only missed field goal attempts are 50 plus, which are far from gimmies. You'd like to be able to hit him you'd like to be able to hit him at a higher click, and then the few extra points, which that has to be fixed. I just don't think you can bring a guy off the street and expect him to be an improvement mid-season. I think you got to work.
I think we're stuck with it, but I don't trust anything right now in the kicking game. So
I think you're going to see some Kevin O'Connell. There's no one we trust more out there, and even after two more misses, but I think that's what he needs. I'll transition. My complaint, and I'm pretty nervous about it, is the leading sack. The sack leaders for the Commanders are their interior pass rushers. And I know Ed Ingram is 41 of 42 guards on PFF pass blocking. And although Bradbury's been improved this year, we know it's probably a weakness, and you can only double one of them. So I think if we lose and we're complaining on Monday, it's our interior line got manhandled by their front seven. Kirk was getting sacked left and right, didn't have any time. Our running game couldn't do anything, and our offense got shut down.
Yeah, I'm going to say as a whole, my complaint would be this team sees that they're 6-1. They know they got a 4-game lead in the division, and they get complacent. And we come out flat. And they think that this is a 3-4 Washington team that's probably not very good. And they don't play up to the best of their ability. They get down early. And if we get down early and the offense doesn't play well, this isn't a defense that I want to try to score points against in the second half. So I'm going to say my complaint would be they underestimated a team that's clearly inferior to them on the road and played like crap. And then they got to try and turn things around against the best team in the league next week.
And all three of those could happen.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting. We'll see what happens on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to seeing TJ Hawkinson out there. And man, it'd be fun if he could get involved and just start to envision what that might look like for these upcoming weeks ahead. So
Yeah.
well, there you have it. Just a reminder to anyone still viewing here. Put in your prediction for the game on Sunday. Get yourself entered for a couple of Jets tickets. Good luck to everyone, and we will come back to you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody.